Happy Easter, everyone. Welcome back to Nestlings by Robin, Introduction to Embroidery Series 2023. It is Easter Sunday in April, and I wanted to pop in real quick because we finally actually get to start the stitching part. We've gone through all the supplies and the threads and the how to trace your design. And so here is April's design, this cute little modern stylized tulip. And you know, April showers bring May flowers, so I did some little zigzag half square triangle blocks here to give it that little rain effect, so you get a little modern miniature feel here. And although April that I'm showing you here is not done in the first stitch that we're going to play with, I did want to remind you that when we did January did have a running stitch right there in that middle part, the one that looks a little more broken. That's the running stitch, and that's the one that it goes with April in the calendar. And I wanted to start with that of all the stitches because it is the easiest of the straight line stitches. It's a great line for evoking wind, or it makes your lines just airier because it has that break without it. So it's not a heavy line. There's a diagram in your calendar that shows how the breaks look as you're doing it. And now we're going to just briefly discuss how you actually do a running stitch. Super, super simple. This is one of those ones when you stitch it though. Now I did it for purposes of the video. I stitched my line pretty heavy here. You would want a nice light line, because as you stitch, you're gonna see your line in between the spaces. I realize my hoop doesn't cover my whole piece. Sometimes I like a scrap of fabric that's not quite the hoop size, but that's okay because it's still holding it firm enough for me to use. I have a size 12 pearl cotton that I'm going to use just for the purposes of demonstrating this. And I have already knotted it and pulled it up. And for my first stitch, I like to stitch away from myself. So first stitch is pulled up about a stitch widths away from where I want to be. And I'm actually going to back stitch on this first one. And I'm going to bring my needle up about a stitch. See that space in between? Let me see here. Where can you see? See that space in between there? And we're going to pull through. And then we have our first stitch and a space. And then you can make these stitches as long or as short as you want them. I'm going to make some longer ones. And also you can preload. If you feel comfortable doing that, you can go ahead and run 3 or 4 stitches on there like this. And then once they're on there, you just pull them through like that. And see how big and bold those are? You have to remember, not only are they bold because I used longer stitches, but they're bold because I'm using a heavier thread too. If you were doing a very fine space, you'd use a finer thread and you'd use shorter stitches, and then that would give you a finer line. And then I'm gonna turn, and then I can just do the same thing going back the other direction. Nice big bold stitches. And just pull that back through like that. And I'm not getting it exactly even, but you get the idea for this. I'm trying to show you what I'm doing, so it's kind of hard to look in the camera and stitch at the same time. All right, so you get the idea there. Earlier on, I had shown you one of my supplies was that really nice pen eraser, the click eraser. This would come back in and I could take those lines, the pencil lines out with that. I also wanted you to note that for April, There's another whole section on here, but I didn't put all the detail in. So you can just use parts of these designs even. You don't have to use the whole design as it's done in the calendar. Use a part of it and put it into something else. Now that you've seen how easy the running stitch is, ready, set, go. I imagine you'll all be out and stitching while the weather's getting nice. Enjoy some porch stitching. And in the meantime, I will be doing lots of other projects to share with you shortly, and I will see you again in May. Thanks, everyone.